These are a must-have.
Today's video, I'm putting seat covers in the Juniper. Let's come along and see how it goes. So one of the first things I always do when I get new seat covers, which I've installed a bunch of, is I like to lay them all out on the ground to kind of make sure I see where what goes where. So we'll start with the ones here in the front first, which is the ones closest to me. All right, so we're gonna start here with the driver's seat. Now, one cool thing about this is there's no discernible difference between the driver's side and the passenger side, front and back, of course, but to where the seat the camera's in, to myself, there is no difference. So we're gonna start doing the driver, but the actual seat. On the back, looks like you cut a couple different straps here. Now, these straps here are just a little hook and loop. These are gonna pull all the way out, and these are what's gonna go underneath the seat, and I'll show you here, but they're gonna snug into place. So once we get this on, we're gonna tuck this down underneath, and it's gonna kind of tuck from the bottom. In addition, we're gonna have these two little straps here. Now, these little straps we're gonna put on a little hook. Now, this little hook, pay attention because these have to go on just right. So when I slide these through, they're gonna fit through like so. You're gonna make a little loop, and you're gonna pull this back through the hole you just made to where it's basically just tying a knot on this little hook. Then once we put this through the seat, this is gonna hook down below. So we're gonna put this one. We're gonna do the same thing here on the other one.
Just as before, I'm sliding this little elastic strap through the little hole of the hook, making my little loop, sliding it through, and then pulling it tight, creating that little knot.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm just gonna wad this up and shove it down in between the seat. I'm gonna do that with both sets.
And the only reason I wad it up is because it's easier to stick the wad through the seat rather than just the end just by itself. So once I shove that through, I'm just tightening it all the way around.
So now I have to drive this little hook that we talked about earlier down and below. Now there's gonna be this little gap here. So I'm aiming to use my little trim tool, kind of push it in here, but of course there's gonna be elastic on it. So I'm just pushing it right here. I'm gonna push this down in between the seat here and the plastic to where it goes down below.
So really just wedge this down in between, again, the seat and the plastic, then you'll find it on the other side, pull it through, and then just find somewhere underneath, not on a wire, but somewhere plastic you can hook it. Then the same thing here on the driver's side, jamming it down through the seat with that little trim tool I have, pulling it out, clasping it somewhere in the middle, then throwing those two little straps I have underneath the seat so I can retrieve them up on the front. Now I'm just going by systematically tucking this in everywhere possible. The material's pretty tough, so you can actually push pretty hard, which I actually did. Then same thing here on the driver's side. Now, I actually once on another Tesla of mine broke this little side plastic panel, so I'm careful not to pull too hard here, but just tucking it in, kind of pulling as I'm tucking, going all the way around to where it looks good in every angle. Then I'm pulling these two cloth straps in from which I threw from the underside earlier, then just putting them in through this little plastic latch, one on each side, then tugging it in tight, both of them, and you'll see it come together at this point.
Okay, now for the seat backs. Now these are gonna have one strap's gonna go around the back. That's pretty self-explanatory, but it's got these little loops on the back, and that's where these little circles are gonna come in. These are gonna slide in one side, and they're gonna hook in the other, something like this. These are gonna go in between the slit of the seat, and once they're past it, they're gonna rotate out like this, and they're gonna keep them from pulling back through.
So I did this on all three of those little elastic straps. Then went ahead and fit it over the top. This actually was pretty easy to fit it over the top, a lot easier than some other ones that I had that wrap all the way around. So once you get this all tucked in, then I jump in the back seat and go ahead and strap it across. Then I jump down on the floorboard and pull through these three little circles, and you're just flipping them to where they're exactly perpendicular, forming a little T in the back of the seat so they won't pull through. Then from the front, again, just tuck this in just absolutely as good as I can everywhere, and there she is, one down. Then it's the same exact steps, which we'll go through a little faster here on the passenger seat. Again, I'm looping through these two little elastic straps with those little metal hooks. I'm wadding up those straps and stucking them down in between the crease of the seat, tucking it in the best I can. Then I adjust the seat back. It's actually easier to push these straps down through, the ones with the little hooks, if that seat is laid back out of the way. So I do that, of course, there on the passenger side. Now over here on the driver's side. Took a minute, but got it all stuck through. And then I started pulling the seat back over the top, snugging this down. Again, this is all pretty self-explanatory, just trying to pull out all those wrinkles, then jumping along back. And now I have 4, 5, 6, 7 different straps. The two that I'm gonna throw to the front, which I'm doing now, the two on each corner, as well as those three little circles that I'm pulling through. I did it all at once. That seemed to work just fine. Then went around and worked my way around, again, just like I did on the driver's side, and just tucked this in really good all the way across. Now, better you do this, to me, is what really makes or breaks the whole seat. It's going to look as good as the time you take to tuck this in right. If you tuck it in right, it looks great. If you don't, it kind of bunches and wrinkles, doesn't look good. But now I'm just strapping that across the front and onto the back. Now, the back row, of course, here is in one big piece, but you're going to have 4 of these little straps. They're going to go underneath the seat, loop up and under, and then snug in here
from the front, just like we did on the front seat.
So this one's actually a little bit easier because it's all in one piece. Again, I'm just kind of wadding up these little straps. There's 4 of them, and just stuffing them in the crease of the seat the best I can, or I'm going to go grab them from behind. But I realized with the seats all the way up or all the way down, it was really hard to get to the both. So then I finally found a sweet spot at like a 45-degree angle. I could feed it through with my left hand and grab it with my right. Again, you can see a little bit of a better look here. Just kind of push it through and grab it with my other hand and pull it till it's tight, like so. That's the way I could do this. And then I ran into a problem. A pretty big problem I'll have to figure out.
So I'm going to say something that I don't say very often in my videos is I'm a little stumped. So I pushed that long cord down through here and pulled it back underneath. The problem is I can't get to a way where I can actually get it underneath my seat. If somebody on this video watching knows how, let me know. But I can't find a way to either get into this down here, because this all seems pretty stationary. I've tried prying from above, and no matter how do I do this, I feel like I'm just going to damage this, because this is like almost like a cardboard type material, so I don't feel good about this. I pried it from the top, I pried it from the sides. No matter how I look at it, I don't feel really good about it. So I think what I'm gonna do is, because this is a pretty tight fit between here and the little seat, I think I'm just gonna shove these little clips back underneath, and I don't see them pulling back too easily, so I'll just use this as the hold, then I'll just tuck that extra back up behind the back.
And this actually did work because it is such a little tight seam in between this little gap. That clip is kind of large, so I'm able to stuff that through. It took a little bit of force, so there's no way it's pulling back through. So it actually is working for the time being. Then I just tuck the rest of this in. Again, really good, pulling these little straps tight, which I'll probably end up tying in a knot from the back, but haven't really figured that part out yet. But nonetheless, it stays in there pretty tight.
Okay, so now I got to pop off this headrest in order to put this seat back on. I'll show you how to do this in case you've never seen it. First, it helps to put this seat just a little bit forward, or else you're going to hit this up here. So we'll bring this a little bit forward, slide it up till it clicks. Now this little push will release this side, but this side's still stuck. So if you get in closer, you can actually see there's a little slit in there. I have to depress inside that slit with something flat. So I'm going to push my little screwdriver into place. You'll see here, that's going to allow this side to push up, while this side will push up, and then the whole thing can come out like so. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw the seat back on. If you notice here, I got the 2 holes in the top. That's where that headrest is gonna go through. Whereas the back, unlike the other side, it's gonna Velcro underneath, so there's no little hardware, things like that. It just slips over, you're gonna tuck it underneath and re-grip to itself. Now you're gonna want the zipper here on the inside. And this, how you're gonna know you have the driver's side also, is it's got the little hole, and that's gonna slide in for that little hook there. So again, I'm gonna unzip this, Velcro it underneath. We're going to slide this over the top.
Again, this part's actually pretty simple. You're just putting it over top, lining up those little headrest slots, lining up that little piece of metal on the inside of the seat, tucking it in. Now again, I kind of put the seat at like a 45-degree angle. That seemed to work decently for me to be able to slide this all around. But again, unlike the other seat, you're not just pushing those straps, you're actually tucking it in and Velcroing it. Now this Velcro is split because there is a wire. The power cord is going to go to your seat that you're kind of wrapping around. Once you're pulling it tight, it Velcros over, as you can see there. Then just zip it down and you're good to go, unless you make the mistake that I did and forget to pull the seatbelt through. So I unzipped it, kind of pulled this little seatbelt back through. Not a big deal, but well, it is a big deal to get it out, but not a big deal that I forgot it. So then you restrap this all. Now we're looking good. Putting the little piece of vinyl around this headrest, I thought was going to be really simple. It was ridiculous. It took me so long. I'm speeding up this video times 7. That's how long it took me to stretch this out. It's a really tight fit. The benefit is there's no wrinkles or gathers or anything like that. The downside was, man, was this harder than I was expecting to get on. But again, once it's on, it does look good. So then on to the passenger side of the car. Again, removing that headrest and then sliding this over the top. Now this one doesn't have that little bar, so it's kind of the only thing left. Did a little bit better job of feeding this one through. Again, it's kind of split here in the back, as you can see. And this is to go, again, around that little electrical wire feeding the power to your back seat. Then it was on to the headrest. Now I tried to mix it up here since I struggled so much last time, as I put the headrest in place and then slid the vinyl down over top of it. That seemed to work better because I wasn't fighting against myself. And again, this just kind of Velcros underneath and it clicks on tight. And again, just like the other one, looks really good. Then this little center section, again, just like the other one, except for not near as hard. You're just sliding this around back. Again, it Velcros in. And then it was stringing this little piece of vinyl over this little armrest / cup holder area. Now this, actually when it was on, fit really well. You have to kind of tuck it around the little curve of the inside, and you're actually, again, trying to grab it from the other side. Just like the seat, it's kind of like a 45-degree angle. There is this little black strap, but then also there's the leather itself you have to get through. then there is a little wire on each side with that little metal hook you have to fish through also.
All right, then we have just one piece left, which is going to go on the back side here of the middle, but this piece is exclusively Velcro.
And this goes on just like you think it would. You just line it up with the little latch in the back and it sticks right on. Good fit.
And the last little piece I have to put on here before I give you the review is this little center console area. This is just going to have 2 elastic bands. It's going to slide over the top like so. Fit just like so. Give you something to rest your arms on. Okay, so now for a quick recap and review. So I'll give you some pluses and minuses. I'll start with the minuses. So I've installed multiple seat covers on Tesla specifically before. I put a couple on my old Model Y. It's the first one here on the Juniper, but I've put 3 different sets on my Cybertruck right over there. So I've done quite a bit of these. The install is always a downside. But this install, although it probably took, and it probably would take somebody about an hour and a half, 2 hours, it wasn't as bad as what I've done on the Cybertruck, including other seat covers that I've gotten from EVBASE. Those have taken upwards of 4 to 5 hours to put on. These took me about hour and a half. It could take you upwards of 2 hours. So yes, it's a downside, but not quite as bad as it could be. Then another downside before I get to the many positives. These seats don't wrap completely around the seats. As you'll see here, there's an open part. You remember, like, there was just a strap going across the back and not the complete coverage. Now, I was expecting it to be a complete wraparound, only because when I had gotten the same exact model, or it looks to be the same exact model for my Cybertruck, it was a complete fit all the way over the top. I had a little pouch in the back. So because of that, I think that's what I was expecting. It's not that, but again, that's not the end of the world. It's just not what I was expecting. Now for the upside. So I've confirmed with EVBASE, this is the same exact material, the same basic style of seat that I did a pretty in-depth comparison with that I put into my Cybertruck several months back. These seat covers do not affect heat and cool. Now, if you don't fully take my word for it, that's fine. I'll put the link where I did this comparison video down in the description below. You can watch it for yourself. They heat just fine, they cool just fine, and they don't restrict the airbags. Another benefit to not potentially wrapping all the way around the seat is these airbags come out of the sides, can still deploy without being hindered by the seat cover. So again, all those positives. And the last 2 positives, the first of being the look. Now, you have several different colors. I chose the white because it's what I wanted. They have several different colors you can choose from. There's like a red, a black. I chose to have launch series put into mine. You don't have to have that. They have ones with that, without that, a bunch of different kinds you can pick from. Just the aesthetics, how much nicer they look, it really changes the whole look of your car. And the last positive is these are super, super durable. I think you noticed at some point during the video where I was really forcing and using that trim tool, really just jamming these seat covers down into the bases of these seats, tucking them in, and it withstands that perfectly. Again, on that same video I referenced earlier, I did a thorough test of what I could stain or potentially not stain these seat covers with. Coffee, barbecue sauces, stains, hot sauces, all these different things. Nothing seemed to penetrate to either stain these, despite the fact they are a white seat. So again, a huge plus. If you're like me and you have a bunch of little kids at home, you've got to get some seat covers for your car. Now, if you want to study these your own, jump on the EVBASE site today. I'll leave that description down below. Use my channel name, CARisma, and get yourself a fantastic discount off of anything on the site, including these. I'll see you on the next one.